Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we're looking at player props for Saturday in the NBA playoffs here. 4 games to choose from on the slate this day. Also going to have a best bets video up for you, so make sure you subscribe to that page so you can continue to follow along. Check out everything we're putting up for you guys the rest of this postseason. Also head to thelines.com and use everything that we've got on the site right now, including that prop finder tool to make sure that you're getting the best juice back on all these bets you're making in the postseason. Now let's go ahead and jump right into your first play up prop here for Saturday.
Yeah, I noticed we both shied away from picking the spread here, Celtics at Heat, after that craziness that was game 2. But I feel fully confident in just betting Tatum over 26.5 points, which is relatively low for a guy who can easily drop 30 here. And I personally am fine adding the Celtics money line here to get you from minus 115 to plus 125, assuming a Celtics win here. Could ladder it up to Tatum 30 in a win, because I mean, while Spo, he's not stupid enough to do the exact same thing, even though it was successful. Like, clearly the Heat are going to try to run these Celtics off the 3-point line and be physical with them, and that pretty much puts the onus on Tatum to be aggressive going to the basket, and he was. I mean, 12 drives in game 2, 4 for 8 shooting on those. Got to the line 6 times and knocked him down. In the regular season against the Heat, he shot 59% on drives, averaged about 3 free throw attempts per game. He's much better going to the basket, creating his own shot, than he is on catch and shoot. He only shot 22% on catch and shoot against this Heat team, and he's generally pretty inconsistent. I mean, he's been around like 35%, I think, the last 2 seasons when he's just in a catch and shoot situation. And I mean, he's not going to be able to do that anymore, it appears, because the Heat have figured out how to, stymie this beautiful game that the Celtics play, right? Where they get you in rotation and they move it around, and then it's like you're going to take an open shot. No, it's going to be a lot more on like, can we get an individual heroic performance, it seems, from either Jalen or Jason. And we saw plenty of those last playoffs from Tatum. They were big up and down games, but I mean, he was more often than not very good in Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. His last 2, he averaged 32, 11, and 6, shot 69% on 2. So that's what I'm talking about. He was like 28% on 3s, but going to the basket, also 8.5 free throw attempts. And obviously there's no Jimmy Butler to stop him now. I mean, Caleb Martin being his primary defender, I think I'm fine with. I think we don't expect him to play out of his mind for an entire series again. He did for 1 game. I mean, he's a decent matchup for Tatum, but I mean, he's not stopping this dude who's a top 5 just individual scorer. And when it mucks up, when the Heat muck it up like they're going to, you're going to need that great scorer to do his thing.
Yeah. I'm not impressed by Caleb Martin anymore. I don't know. I mean, definitely he isn't good enough to guard Jason Tatum. I mean, he's going to have to employ dirty tricks to beat Jason Tatum. That's for damn sure when he's on defense and guarding him. There's no one-on-one matchup for Tatum when he decides that he's going to the bucket. I mean, Jimmy could do it. I would say a little bit younger Jimmy would have a much better shot, but I don't know that I care about anybody having a legitimate chance at slowing him down. So if he's going to be aggressive, then this series could be, it would behoove him to be that. Let's put it this way, and find that in between game so that they're not just taking a bajillion threes and relying on that, obviously. But I'm going to go under for a man who was a fan favorite here in the first game of this Cleveland and Orlando series, Jonathan Isaac. However, I think his time may have passed. So I'm going under 12.5 points and rebounds. I just don't know how you justify starting him again when he didn't start in game 3. And it was just like, look, I mean, maybe causation, no correlation, whatever. But like, he plays 1 and 2. This team can't shoot. He doesn't play as nearly as much in game 3. And they are all of a sudden the 7 seconds or less Suns and put up 121 points on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I would imagine that Jamal Mosley understands this and has made the understanding that, like, I need Wendell Carter in there because I can't have that many non-shooters on the floor at once in the NBA in 2024. It's just that simple. So when he lost his starting role, he ended up playing 16 minutes in game 3. The minutes already dwindled from 24 in game 1 to 19 into game 2. And if you look at his numbers as far as like on-off stuff, yeah, he's very good. They're very good on defense when he's on the floor. 97 defensive rating with his minutes on the floor in the playoffs. his minutes on the floor in the playoffs on offense, the worst offensive rating of any of the starters and any real rotation player on the floor, to be honest. And so I just think that that's too glaring to be able to put him back in there. He has a 47.5% effective field goal percentage on his shots because in large part because he's like 1 for 5 from deep, but he's also hit, at about a 30% regular field goal percentage from 2. So the effective field goal percentage, and taking into consideration, obviously the difficulty of his shots and all that, has him as just awful, right? And it's the same concept for when he's on the floor. The team's effective field goal percentage is just bottoms. So with Wendell Carter Jr. on, however, it's the complete opposite. And it's in part because they're coming in for each other, I would imagine. But at the same time, Wendell Carter comes in game 3, that offense shoots straight up. When he's been on the floor in this series, they have 114 offensive rating, and that's by far the best of anybody getting actual rotation minutes. I will say Big Mo Wagner also has 124 as an offensive rating when he's on the floor. Fewer minutes though, right? Like he's at about 15 minutes per game, and Wendell Carter is up to about 24 now, as he played in this last game. So with that in mind, like the net rating as well. One other thing I'll bring up: -2.5 with Jonathan Isaac, plus 8.8 for Mr. Carter Jr. there. So I think just with Wendell Carter coming along in game 3, with the way that Mo Wagner's been playing in this series as well, 6 boards in this game 3, had a bunch of points in both games 1 and 2. I know because I hit his points and rebounds over in both those. Like I would continue to feel better about their minutes at about 16 and 24 for both of them, and Jonathan Isaac down around the like 15 or less mark moving forward.
Yeah, he's a fantastic defender, but is there a guy he has to be out there to stop in this series? Like Evan
Right.
Mobley isn't the one killing you, right? So, I mean, then you're just going to mess up your offense, which clearly Jamal Mosley figured out. And by not starting him and playing him limited minutes, it seemed to unlock Paolo completely. Like huge game from Paolo, unlocking the entire rest of the offense. And that's why I got to throw in this bonus lean. Like, it was under 4.5 turnovers that we took in that first game, and he had zero turnovers going back home after getting used to how the Cavs were defending him. And now you can get plus 130 for him to go under 3.5, which was still kind of like right around the average. Is about 3 turnovers per game. I believe what he averaged against the Cavs in the regular season. So I think there's still a little leeway to get under that. And for the plus money, you can take it, correlating that with Isaac playing less and with Paolo having more space to operate. So my second pick, again in this Heat Celtics game, Nikola Jovic over 5.5 rebounds, and that's also plus money, plus 115. You can just tack on 2 assists, you can, and stay even money. But I mean, the advanced numbers will indicate that he's due for more assist regression than rebounding. In the sense that, like, obviously the Heat hit every 3 they took in the last game, so he wound up with 6 dimes. Basically, on like 6-7 potential assists. Like he was just moving the ball and guys knocked it down. But I mean, he's involved as far as being a scorer. I just don't think the Celtics are going to get punked like that in terms of scoring. But I do think, I was trying to convince you not to take Kevin Love the other day because I think Jovic just brings more athleticism and versatility to the table. I mean, whether it was Love getting hurt or just being old and just being unable to finish that game, he only played 6 minutes. And so we should see Jovic play more than the 25 minutes he's gotten so far in the series. And he's averaged 11.5 rebound chances in those 25 minutes, grabbed 7.5. We're talking 12 rebound chances, 75% adjusted chance in game 2. As he plays, so he's gotten 16 boards total, and for you to give him plus odds on just doing 6 again seems pretty good to me. I mean, the average 6.2 his last 6 without Jimmy Butler, playing about 25 minutes a game. On the season, he's averaging this 5.5 in 22 minutes per game without Jimmy Butler. So he's going to be in there, getting at least the 25. And I will say, like, the 2-man lineups, him and Bam is one of their best defensive ratings that they have here, and that he does kind of pair well with Tyler Hero. If it's going to be a totally Tyler Hero centered offense, then I think Jovic is a good guy to put out there to pair with him.
Yeah, that's fair. I like Jovic a lot, and if Kevin Love is hurt as he was, and that's why he played 6 minutes, then that's a really good bet for him. Just to follow up, Kevin Love had 5 rebounds in 6 minutes and was well on his way to getting this total until he
Hey,
got hurt. So, I would
no
probably stick
shade.
with the rebounds for him because I think like the shots going up is going to be tough to find like the volume. But when he's on the floor and he's in there for Bam, it's going to be like go get boards. And Jovic is going to be a little bit different of a sort of use that they have for him, right? Like it's not like they're just like, okay, Bam's off, so let's get Jovic in there to get boards. But he does a really good job of being sort of the I guess you would call him off-ball rebounder in that he's coming in from a little bit further away a lot of times, much more versatile dude. And I don't even have a problem with the points. Bringing him back home and hitting those threes, like you might get another barrage of threes from the Heat that I think we're both, like you said, scared of to talk about that total or that spread or in any way right now. If Heat threes go in, damn, they can win. If Heat threes don't go in, they might lose by 20, right? So that's the level of like volatility that we're dealing with the total the game overall. But let me after much deliberation, let me go with Herbert Jones threes because that is something that I've continued to look at, and I hit it in both the first 2 games, and it hit. I also tried the points in the first game, and that didn't hit because he went 2 for 10. But the thought process here for Herbert, sweet defensive player, all defensive player, Herbert Jones is the where he is on the floor. So there's 2 things. One, OKC gives up like the 4th most made threes from the corner. They give the most attempts from the corner. The whole structure of their defense is we're going to pressure you, and the outlet is going to be the corner. That's really it, right? You're not getting anything down the middle. You're not getting above the break at all from this team, top 5 in that. But you can have the corners, right? If you can get the ball there past our long, rangy defenders, where everybody's at least like 6'3" with like a 7-foot wingspan on this team apparently, and then you've got Chet down low who can kind of come off as a second defender as well and swat shots. As a result, Herb Jones, I was confident he was going to take a lot of shots, and he has. Like, it's not even just that he had 18 points last game, because in the first game he only had 8. It's the fact that he shot 8 threes and 7 threes in this series, because that's where they're pushing the ball to for this Thunder defense. So you lose the juice. It was like plus 124 for him to hit 2 in the first game. That's all the way down now. As you can see for him, I want to make sure I have the correct line. It's like, the best you're going to find is like minus 145 for him to there's a minus 130 hanging around. I think you can still grab that on DraftKings for him to make the 2. And I hated playing Herb Jones 1.5 threes all season, because it's like, dude takes 3 to 4 threes a game. I'm not predicting him to hit 66 or 50% of his threes. But when he's taking 7 to 8, then I really like him to only need to make 2. He's been like damn near a 40% shooter consistently, because it's not a high volume, but you just extrapolate that out to 1 or 2 more. And I mean, he hit 4 in this last game for a reason. So I don't have a problem with the points, 10.5. You got 9.5 last game, so I hate when it goes up and then I got to pay a little bit more for that. But I still think the threes is still a fair value at minus 130 for a guy I don't see the Thunder changing their defense. It's worked clearly, but it's still working in favor of Herb Jones being the man at the end of the sort of secondary pass after the defense is imbalanced, and now he's a bit more wide open.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're completely daring him and like treating it as a complete success to get a Herb Jones corner 3 as the end result for the Pelicans here. But I mean, by the numbers, post All-Star break, he shot 46% from 3 at home. So like, I mean that they don't care what you shot in the regular season. It's how much they respect you as a shooter in the playoffs with a contest coming your way. But yeah, I mean, this is where the ball's getting funneled. So I guess this makes more sense than we were thinking about Trey Murphy and CJ and who's going to get open. And like, honestly, the Thunder are going to divest more and more resources towards those guys and say, look, Herb Jones, if you want to hit a bunch of corner threes on us, we'll tip our cap.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah, I mean, Kason Wallace, when he comes in, I think CJ has sort of that like, damn it kind of aspect of this, because Kason Wallace is fierce. He knows he has one job. That's where he can expel his energy. And so I just felt goaded into taking the over 2.5 for CJ, because it's like, what? Like 2 weeks ago, this man had a 4.5 3-point prop, and now you got it down to 2.5, even for that bad of juice. But he actually hasn't even been taking them. He took 2 threes against the Kings in that win in the play-in, and so just the sort of flow of the game at this point is like, well, CJ McCollum's not beating us, even if he takes 9 to 10, and he starts forcing them when that's the case. And to be honest, can't really get by guys anymore. His drives are way down from last year, etc. So yeah, if he's going to be relying on that 3 and you know it, and you've got the best above the break 3 defense in the league, or a top 3 or 4 one, then yeah, you're in a good spot to stop him. But Herb Jones is like you said, the outlet here. So that's all the time we got for you in Play of Props. Continue to follow along, though. Also got those best bets up for you in a separate video, so subscribe to that page. Until we see you next, happy betting.